All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all of you from your respective time zones. And as it's a global event, it's a global talk. I believe everyone is joining from different time zones. And as I always introduce TEG briefly before starting, I'll do the same. Actually, this we complete with this event, we complete exactly 3 years because the first TEG talk we started in July 27, on July 27, 2023 was the first TEG talk that we had. And the idea was to, bring in veteran entrepreneurs, of course, like we have today, but also policymakers, business leaders, academics to create this holistic understanding of entrepreneurship. We call it Gyan, but largely it's about shared experiences that these veteran academics, entrepreneurs, business leaders have so that it can create a platform of understanding some sort of motivation, but also to connect and seek mentorship, advices, so on and so forth. So as you would have already seen, we have now a broad list of TG mentors as well. And we have an active community of TEG, which is now grown to 5,000 plus. And also we are planning first global in-person meetup, which is going to happen in Hyderabad on November 14th, as I kind of introduced in the last talk. And as the idea has been that, of course, via these talks, of course, we call it the Entrepreneurship Gyan talk. But the idea is not to just have some Gyan, of course. I've already told several times that we have always been choosy about who can give Gyan because not everyone kind of, uh, it's not like a random masterclass happening these days on Instagram, on YouTube, here and there, that everybody is teaching entrepreneurship. So that's what I have been mentioning that we are very, very choosy about whom we believe should be giving Gyan. And we are very selective about whom we believe should be giving Gyan. And as all of you would have always, while in the campus, hearing about Shailesh J. Mehta School of Management and kind of curious also about, who this Shailesh J. Mehta is. So I believe that he doesn't need much of an introduction. But as we do a formal introduction, we have with us Venu, SGM Song graduate and my co-host, who will be formally introducing very briefly. We also have Rishi joining us from Bay Area, who is, who has been my co-host in the last at least 20 talks. And he, then later we'll be taking up questions and, we'll be going ahead with the talk. So to you, Venu, to formally introduce Dr. Mehta.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Vaibhav. And hi, everybody. I think, as Vaibhav mentioned, 3 years we've done this. I was there in the first session and then a few initially, and then now I'm back. And the reason I'm back was obviously it was Dr. Shailesh J. Mehta. And being an alumnus from the institute, I can tell you I have had the fortune of meeting him in person as well. And back in 2016, I had the opportunity to introduce him, and it's a great fortune to be able to do the same now again. So to present, I think Dr. Mehta has a lot of experience. He's a globally respected business leader, investor, entrepreneur, and more than all, a great philanthropist with over 4 decades of leadership across financial services, technology, venture capital, and furthering cause of education. As an alumnus of IIT Bombay and a holder of master's and Ph.D. degree from Case Western Reserve University, he has led some of the world's most prominent financial institutions, including serving as chairman and CEO of Providian Financial Corporation, and has held leadership roles at WestBridge Capital, Granite Hill Capital Ventures, KeyCorp, and Capital Holding Insurance Group. Over the years, he has served on the board of leading global companies such as MasterCard, PayPal, First Source Solutions, giving him a front row seat to the evolution of banking, fintech, and digital commerce. Beyond business, Dr. Mehta is a deeply committed to furthering education and ensuring philanthropy reaches the grassroots level. And in recognition of his contributions, IIT Bombay's management school was renamed to Shailesh J. Mehta School of Management, which we clearly call as SJMSOM. So, a recipient of IIT Bombay's Distinguished Alumni Award, he has continued to mentor leaders and support initiatives that shape the next generation of entrepreneurs and innovators. So, welcome to you, sir. And it's great to have you join us for this session. I'm sure we all will learn a lot and have a lot of takeaways from the session. So handing it over to you, sir.
Well, greetings, because I don't know which time zone, but the majority of you are in India time zone. So I would say good evening, and I will do my best so that you don't feel like you have wasted your Saturday evening, with some Gyani trying to spread some Gyan. But I would like to take this opportunity to first thank Professor Vaibhav inviting me to talk about this. Generally, I avoid it, but I was excited when he explained to me, and I said I will do it. I'm a student all my life and I continue to be. So I would like to learn more than, give all this Gyan. But I feel it will be good to share my experiences and how I got my career or my life shaped with that. And I hope some of these experiences and the way I created situation for myself would be helpful to many of you who are either already an entrepreneur or a senior corporate executive or a senior government official or even planning to start up some new companies. Something that might be of helpful to even one person out of this whole conversation, I'll consider myself very fortunate. So with that, I will turn over Professor Chaudhary, as we have decided to do it in a question answer format. And I've given him all the rights to interrupt me because I have a tendency to sometimes miss out in order to give the total experience, the time issue. And I want to be sensitive to everybody's time. So thank you for inviting me. Wishing you all a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And let's make this session as much productive as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Mehta. Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, and thanks for agreeing for this talk. So, I mean, of course, your journey. I will not go back to the school days. I mean, I could have gone depending, but given the time, I'll start from IIT Bombay because majority of the people joining here from IIT Bombay, of course, it's open to others. So there can be people from other IITs, IIMs, or other global institutions in the US, Europe, Middle East, Africa, anywhere in the world, basically. I'm joining from the central time zone, but there are people from India, from Japan, possibly. I'm not sure. So starting from your time in IIT Bombay, of course, after graduating from IIT Bombay, you landed in the US with less than $8 in your pocket. And then, you were entering a new country, very different culture, very few Indians at the time when you entered US. Looking back to those times, what were those initial few months, were like, which kept you going despite of all the uncertainty, all the issues that you may have faced as a young, bright student entering in the US?
And very good. I still vividly remember those early days. I did not have enough money. Even my ticket was earned through scholarship. So I traveled on a scholarship. Came from a middle class family in India. And I did not have resources. So it was a lifetime dream to come to Case Western and get a US degree. But I was fascinated at the time of learning and visiting US. And my goal was to come, and I had a graduate assistantship. So at least I was not going to starve. It was enough stipend monthly to live and survive. So I traveled. Of course, I had some very interesting travel experience because I did not know whether this will be one in a lifetime chance to go outside the country. I've never sat on plane before. It was the first time I ever sat on plane when I left India. And I wanted to see the whole world. So in those days, you can make as many stops as you can. So I bought a ticket which had many stops, and I figured out how to survive with much less money. So sometimes I selected the flight and I slept on the airport. And in daytime, I visited the city and then again connected. So it was a adventure that I said I will, who knows, there'll never be a chance when I, after graduation, come back to India. And that was the plan. I had no plan to settle in US, to be honest with you. So when I ended up, the university provided a host family program. So when I came to Cleveland, and the host family, Mr. Rasmussen, received me at the airport. The first challenge was I couldn't understand a word of what he was saying and his accents. And he couldn't understand a word of what I was saying because of my accents. But we managed. And I was given a host family 2 or 3 night stay to figure it out my own residence. And I did, but it was not, I was sort of second guessing. Did I make a right decision? I was a bit depressed because in Mumbai, I used to see people. Here, I don't see anyone on the road. There is no public transportation. In 1970s, America, and that is in Midwest, were very different. So I even started second guessing that did I make a right decision or wrong decision? And this was the first challenge that I said, now I'm not going to go back and going to say, let's make the decision is made. So instead of spending time, whether it is right or wrong, make it right. And that's how I said that I will deal with it. I found a residence with some people. And then first thought I thought was that as soon as I get my degree, I want to come back to India and whatever money I can save. So I decided to, and plus I was a vegetarian and I did not want to abandon my culture. And all I can get is a grilled cheese and a French fries. Okay. So I decided that as soon as I get my degree, return, and I want to make some extra money on life. So first, as soon as I enrolled, I took maximum number of courses allowed, 5 courses, that is 20 units. But I also started looking for a job. And I'm going to keep it brief here, but it was most interesting because I said make money and save money because money coming from graduate assistantship was barely enough to pay the rent and to pay for groceries and all other requirements. But even still, I was able to save $50 a month out of $240 a month stipend. But I said I need some more money. So I was looking for a job and I found out that there was a job available in a high school for $3 an hour for giving advanced math student a tutoring. So I said, math is my specialty, especially coming from IIT. I will take this job, $3 an hour, very appropriate to me because $1.60 was the minimum wage at the time. So I went and I applied. I didn't realize that I was going in a school that was in the most criminal black area. I had no idea at the time that, there are areas where white live, there are areas where black live. So I ended up and they were surprised to see that someone like my kind of person is applying for a job in this school. I got job instantaneously. And that is where I started making extra money. It was 20 hours a week and $3 an hour. So I started that way. And I'm going to end this part, but here is the last part that I wanted to share with you. Because of the grit, I said, black, white, I don't care, but I'm going to go and do this job. And when I got into the first day of school, I was shocked. They were having, even those days, metal scanner, whether you're carrying gun or not. And in my advanced math class, there were 12 students, 6 girls and 6 boys. 2 of them were pregnant in a high school, which I never conceived, even in India at the time. And I'm supposed to teach them advanced math. And you talk about my difficulty understanding Mr. Carl Rasmussen. Try to understand the blacks at that time and their accent, okay? And try to understand me. But I managed. There are a lot of incidences. I won't go into it. But you know what? By the time I finished and their semester finished, all of them got straight A's, which made me that no matter what the job is, just execute flawlessly. And this is my advice I give to anybody who is running a business. Flawless execution is the #1 requirement. And I said, I'm doing my best job. I'm going to teach them the best way I could. As a matter of fact, the word started spreading in the school. Their math teacher started attending the session because I can learn from this guy. So we got this thing done. And as a parting gift, they hosted an event to give me a gift. It was a nice gift. And in America at the time, even today, but I did not know, you open your gift. And when I opened it, was a pet snake. And I'm so scared of snakes. I said, I don't want to take this gift back. But what I learned is 1, grit, commitment, excellence, But I learned how to make friends with blacks, which helped me a lot later on my career. I understood their language. I understood a little bit of how they think. And that will, I will, when we allude to other part, will explain to you how it helped me. So this was the early day experience. I can go on, but it was a very interesting experience and very fulfilling experience at the same time. Okay.
Super interesting. Super
Wow,
interesting. I think a lot of us who move to the US or to other parts of the world would truly relate to some of those, especially the vegetarian part. Yeah, Rishi, please. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I totally relate to this experience. I landed up in Midwest also for my master's, and I can imagine all those things. So I want to dip a little bit deeper into that aspect of cultural, adjustment. So initially, of course, there's a first few months or year or something like that. You talked about. Let's go a little bit further. As an immigrant, you had to overcome not only these financial constraints, but also cultural barriers and the realities of being brown engineer in the corporate America. So let's talk about when you started working. So instead of seeing these as disadvantages, you build an extraordinary career. How did you develop that mindset of turning this adversity into opportunity? And this will remind me again of Ty's initial days that I heard from many of the other IITians.
No, so you're right. It's a very good question. Well, I was doing this job. I was still not making enough money, and the goal was to save enough money. So I was also tutoring two Egyptian students and one other, and also charging them $10 an hour, but four students, so $40 an hour I was making. So first goal was, let's see whatever I can get. I got all straight A's, and I was able to handle. But how do I continue? So it came in as first summertime, and everybody went back to their home. I couldn't afford to travel back, so I was on the campus starting to take some PhD level courses just for fun, so I can continue to stay on my student visa and continue to earn the stipend and make money on tutoring. But there was a job opportunity opened up in a largest bank in Ohio at the time, that they were looking for someone to work on a traveling salesman problem on operations research type. And I was in the case operations research department doing my master's. Now, why that happened, and that I will come in a minute, but my dean called me up because I was one of the few students on campus and I was top student. So he said, Mehta, would you like to have a summer job? And I said, yes, I do, but how much it pays? He said, he didn't even ask me what the job is. Okay. So I said, any job. I would just tell me what. So he said $7 an hour. So I'll take it. So what will happen that it was oil embargo. There was a war happened in Middle East. And the oil price went from $3 a barrel to $18 a barrel. And the bank had 83 branches and they had 13 messengers who were trying to go and collect checks and bring it back. And someone came up with the idea that maybe we should hire an OR student, operations research student, and see if they can do this traveling salesman problem in operations research and save some gasoline and optimize the function. So it was an integer programming type of project. So in a way, it was good to test whether what I've learned in class can I use in the practice. So this is how I ended up in the bank as an analyst. And I was working, but being a research project and a junior part-time analyst, it was also a part-time job. My program will not run until all the production is run. So sometimes I will sit around 6 hours, 7 hours, and they pay me $7 an hour for sitting around. I said, this is dumb. Why they're paying me for not doing the work? Now, some people would look one way. I said, no, I need to earn this money. So I was keeping an eye, and I sat I was to share an office with one of the assistant vice president, because I didn't have my own office. When my program will run, it was a batch programming days of IBM those days. And I was looking what Mr. Wendling, that was the name of the AVP, was doing, and he was calling something called sort patterns. So all the checks were processed on a fast processor, and according to different federal districts, the checks were So I looked at it and I said, how are you doing it? And those days, the checks were not, if it's the same federal district, you get same day credit. If it's a different federal district, so you can get as much as 3 days credit. So I learned all these things instead of just sitting idle and enjoying coffee in a cafeteria. Sometimes that my whatever attitude that I want to learn helped me out. So I came up and said, Bill, how you do it? And I said, Bill, I can write you a little program. You can do it in a more optimal way while I'm waiting so that you can improve the float. So he said, can it be done? I said, absolutely. It's a very simple thing. So while my batch job was running, this was not my job. This was not my responsibilities. Now, this is what I'm saying, seen and unseen. Nobody saw that there is an opportunity in saving money in bank to float. I could have ignored it. Nobody would have, but I said, no, I want to earn my money. So we wrote a program. It saved bank, believe it or not, almost 30% of their annual profit in float. And that shocked them. That truly shocked them. So they said, forget about the color. This Indian is smart. So let's hire him. So they offered me the full-time job to join. So that's the good news. They gave me a decent salary that an average engineer used to make those days $13,000, $14,000 a year. Bank offered me at $17,000 a year. So it was a nice salary. I said, okay, this money I will take because I had married my childhood love, my wife. She was with me and we both decided that by the way, I attribute a lot to my success to my great team player, my wife. She is even a great team player today. So she was fully supportive. I said, look, we have to make as much money and go back to India. And I joined as a full-time. They got me a green card with a one phone call. In those days, it was not hard. I said, I don't have a green card. I can't work. It says, okay, we'll call the State Department. The Senator Glenn was from Ohio. Mr. Glenn called the State Department. I got a call from Cleveland Immigration, pick up your green card. So I said, well, they have been nice to me. They gave me a green card. They're giving me a job. But these are all great news. And I had a great mentor from their human resource department, a guy named John Rogers. He was a Yale Harvard graduate. He worked with Robert McNamara, and he has a very different vision. So to make a long story short, I started my career in the bank. And it started from an engineering to this. Now, here is the interesting part, and then we'll come back. I was the first brown ever worked in that bank. The bank had a very clear culture. There were whites and there were blacks. Okay, blacks work in second shift, black work in back rooms, black works in third shift, white work in the first shift. I'm, of course, first shift guy because I was brown, but still more like white compared to that. And but they said, look, Mehta is smart. He's a high IQ guy, but you should not have a customer facing situation. So they will not keep me in the back room. I did not get the customer facing. So corporate banking and meeting with the people on a golf course was not for me. You stay in the back room, do your work, earn your money, be wonderful. But Mr. Rogers was saying, you are someday going to run the bank, but I'm going to tell you how. So this is my so you're right, it was brown and they were treating me with full respect. There was no discrimination when it comes to my meritocracy. There was more of a cultural issue that they were worried how the customer will react in those days. That someone non-white, a corporate treasurer or a corporate CFO, I can't play golf, I can't talk Monday morning or Sunday for football, I don't play poker. All of those cultural things, they were worried more out of customer relationship rather than a discriminating towards me. So I said, I understand. It's a cultural issue. It's not a discrimination issue. So I took that issue more as a challenge rather than as a, crybaby. So this is how the first early stage of my banking career. And Professor Vaibhav, on your next question, will tell you how I made from a backroom analyst to president. And what was the trick? Okay. But here, what I want to say, don't automatically assume the cultural bias as a discrimination. We also all have a cultural bias. Okay. We wouldn't allow our driver to sit on the same dining table we sit, even if he's a human and he's the same caste. Correct? Now, in India, it will be shame if you say, driver, come and sit and have a dinner with next to me. So there is cultural that you have to respect, and that's Indian culture, and I have to respect. Same way, they have their own culture. They were worried about customer rather than discriminating me per se. So that is how you have to take situation and truly understand the underlying issues rather than blame others for your non-progress. This is just a pure, honest. I never felt they ever undermine my meritocracy. They never shortchanged me on pay. They never shortchanged me less than a white, same salary, same, but they were concerned about customer facing. And not because of me, because of their customers' biases. And they are in a business to make money. They are not in a business to run a charitable program. So that is their rationale. Not the rationale was that I don't like this because of his color or because of his religion or because of his dietary habit.
All right. It's pretty interesting. And I think a lot of professionals working here possibly would relate. And the next question is actually for professionals, because a lot of people who have joined us today, possibly they have been working for a couple of years. They would start entrepreneurship or move to entrepreneurship and start their own venture and things like that. And you have, throughout your career, you have repeatedly entered industries and roles where you didn't follow the conventional path. And of course, the question would be, how did you train yourself to see opportunities that others either overlook or dismissed? And of course, eventually, you led a major financial institution as the president, and but how did you even identify such opportunities? And I think that would be a great learning for a lot of professionals who would try to move into entrepreneurship or who have been trying to move into entrepreneurship or some other business for that matter. So that would be really interesting to know from you, from your experience.
Sure. So I will give you a two-part answer. One is where I moved in my career from a backroom operations guy into literally becoming president of the company. And then part two, how the entrepreneur side will come into play. Okay. So there are two parts. One is I was getting projects and I was successfully implementing, but I was a bit frustrated. Not giving me management responsibility. You're always giving me staff jobs. We use your analytical skills, but we can let you manage people. So I started to talk Mr. John Rogers that sometimes I could implement my solution faster than the manager who doesn't know how to implement, and they screw it up. And actually, some of the departments are run by the women supervisor. The guy doesn't know ABC of what's going on in the department. Whereas I'm spending time collecting data and analyzing with the women. So they all loved me. The people in operations, the supervisor and the employees, because I will sit down. I mean, some supervisor thought I was so skinny that every Friday they used to have a little get together. They'll bring a cake for me. Say, look, you Indian, you're too skinny. You need to eat some cakes. So I developed good rapport with the people. So Mr. Rogers or John told me, he said, Shailesh, okay, we'll give you a management job, but we will first fix your accent. So I will tell you, go ahead and take a lessons at the Cleveland State University out of your own pocket. Bank won't pay. Hire English professor Shrail and pay him $35 an hour, and he will fix your accent. You don't differentiate between V and W. Okay, you're stuttering R. All of this we need to fix if you want to be in the front office. Okay. Second, you need to learn how to be hygienically clean. Whites are absolutely hygiene concept. Don't touch the bread roll if you're not going to eat it. Okay, when you are on the table. Don't touch it. Have a clean shirt every day. Okay. Don't reuse your shirt second day. Wash it, launder it, invest. You have to invest. Don't start the food until everyone is served. These are like silly things, but I was given this. If you fix this, okay, rest is an easy pathway for you. So I completely changed. I hired Professor Shrey. I learned on difference between V and W. Wall and volleyball, why they're different. Indians say it the same way. So that helped. Second, I was given my first management job. And because I was already friendly, I realized that I will come in the second shift. And sometimes after dinner, I will drive back to the bank in downtown. And all I see is nothing but black people working. And I said, this is ridiculous. Someday there will be a union. So I went to my boss and said, look, we have to mix it up. We can't have all blacks working in second shift and all white working in the first shift. I need some white people in the second shift. Now, the diversity came naturally. It has nothing to do with, it's my IIT experience. We never differentiated in my time in IIT, whether you are a Muslim, a Hindu, Christian, didn't matter to us. I said, same way, here it is. What is it? Went in local Italian restaurant and hired a waiter to say, get me some Italians to work, because Italians were discriminated, Jews were discriminated. So this is how they started notice that this man thinks differently. Okay, so diversity was there even before the diversity became a fashionable word in my world. Okay, second thing is, I said, okay, now I'm doing very well, but every time that you promote me, you give me another department, it's all back office. How do I go into the front office? I need to know that. So this is where the second part came. He said, John was great mentor. He says, look, Mehta, you are not good at corporate politics yet. So what you need to do is find a territory that nobody wants and capture the territory. Start doing that. Once you say, so this is where comes seen and unseen. Remember I told you earlier part. I had seen a movie, a Bengali movie on my campus at the time. I was still last part of my PhD. And this was a movie with Soumitra Chatterjee where he is born blind. So he had never seen the world. The only thing he knew. So from that movie, I said, aha, I need to see what nobody else is seeing. And that's where, because of I was in operations, I had all the technology reporting to me. I said, we are buying a lot of technology. The companies are making money. Silicon Valley company, we buy technology. And when we become a reference account, their valuation goes up. So I said, why shouldn't we be investing? So if we invest at the same time in the company we are buying equipment, hardware, then we will make money both ways. So I came up with a proposal that why not we create a venture fund, an investment fund, and we will invest in the companies whose equipment we are buying, because when we buy, their valuation goes up. Now, this was a territory nobody cared about it, nobody worried about it, but because I was liked by CEO, everybody, he says, well, Mehta is smart, he's not going to run. So they gave me $10 million venture fund to work with. And also there was other territory, the technology was coming in the bank. So there were automated teller machine, ATMs were coming and everything. So, and the branch people hated it because they thought that was a job stealer. Okay, so if you put this automated teller, we'll lose jobs. So they made sure that this machine failed. They wanted this initiative to fail. So then I went and I said, why don't you give me all the card business? And the credit cards were new. And our CEO believed that nobody should have a credit card. People should be saving money and corporates should be borrowing money. This idea of people making an unsecured debt is a dumb idea. So that was his view. So I said, give me the card business and give me the venture business. Nobody wanted it. So I ended up owning those. This is where the first time, unseen opportunity, but my eyes and ears. So I took these two land grab. Trust me, I made so much money, automatically I moved into the front office. People say, my God, what is generating? I invested in fault-tolerant computers. I learned and with Excel 1 and Summit Partner 1 how to invest in venture capital. It has nothing to do with my job. But I wanted to say that let's capture the territory. So sometimes when you are in a corporate world, I'm just saying, look for territory nobody wants, but you see the growth and future. Now, of course, I took a risk. $10 million, if I'd blown it, I would have lost my job or perhaps destroyed my career. But this gave me the first exposure to entrepreneurship, gave me first exposure to how to build a company. And so that is where the second part is coming, Professor, that I decided to say that someday I want to run my own company, because I saw how these people were making money. And I could go and give an example of what happened, but I will come to that in your next question.
Well,
But this
that's
is how
super
I
amazing.
ended up from front office. Once you start making money, trust me, okay? People forget your color, race, religion, everything. This is a capitalistic society. If you impact the bottom line, you are a genius. In corporate world, that's the reality. Okay. I mean, directors wanted to have lunch with me, and I had a lunch with. I'll give you a little funny example, just for a sense of humor and levity. Ward Timken. Many of you heard the Timken ball bearing. That Ward Timken was on board. They were a Canton-based Ohio company, and Mr. Timken wanted to say, "Who is this Indian? I want to have a lunch with him." So Mr. Timken and I went for lunch, and I ordered my grilled cheese sandwich, the standard, and he said, "Oh, Why not ordering beef? I said, I'm a vegetarian. I said, oh, you're a vegetarian? How do you get your protein? So this is how we started talking. And then he kind of said, what do you do over the weekend? And I said, well, we Indians, we get together and we spend time together. We just meet with each other. Yeah. So I said, I should ask some questions. So I asked Mr. Timken, what do you do over the weekend? He said, well, I go for boar hunting. I said, but there are no boars in Ohio. Where do you find the boars? Oh, no. I fly my plane to Spain and hunt the boar and come back over the weekend. So talk about the wealth difference you are talking. His annual dividend I used to process in back office in those days for Timken family was $30 million a year in 1977, 8 times. So imagine the wealth. But Americans don't like to display their wealth. They like to keep it under the radar. And so entrepreneurship front, so directors started liking me, and I started to see my stock is rising. They wanted me to become a member of the Union Club, which is white only club, but they made an exception, and they kind of create an exception because they didn't want other Indian to be admitted. So if we take one Indian, others will apply. So they decided to say that tell us about your history. And I come from a little town in Gujarat, my ancestor. I was born and raised in Mumbai called Palanpur, and they were known for now diamond family, but my grandfather was associated with Nawab of Palanpur. So they put in my application that he is a descendant of a royalty. And they apartment, I was a royalty, So, but I got admitted to the Indian Club. Anyway, so this is where the career thing. And next step was the entrepreneurship. Because I traveled to Silicon Valley, before I met, I said, someday I want to own my own company. And that is where my mind was constantly looking for when to quit and start my own business. Very well settled, but this was the situation. Go ahead, next question, and then we'll go into.
Great. I mean, you also briefly mentioned about your wife, but of course there is no time, so we can't go into your love story. But hopefully in the future, when we meet in person for the TEG Global Meetup, I would like to know more about how you met your wife and things like that. But anyways, Rishi, please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So his previous statements land us right into the next question. So far, we talked about your corporate life. It kind of veered towards your next phase, which is venture. So talk us about how did you make that leap? How did you make that jump? It looks like you already have a PMF before you started the new one. But yeah, give us more insight into what gave you that confidence to make the leap into, not so unfamiliar territory by that time.
That's a good question. And it was what happened that we were looking at strategic planning for our bank. And we hired a consulting firm called SRI Consultants, which is based in Palo Alto. And the key guy, the partner who was running, his name was JC Green. And I was one of the top executive part of the strategy formation for the bank's future. And JC and I hit it up very well because he thought of all the senior top 5 guys. I made the guy to him most sense because I thought the era of branch banking is over. Opening a new branch on CEO's birthday is no longer because we are saturated. We are stealing, so on and so forth. So JC will come in the evening. I used to work late. And so he will stroll around and he'll come to my office and says, hey, let's go for dinner. And I'll call my wife, as you correctly said. She was a total pillar behind me. And I said, look, I'm not coming home for lunch. I'm going to have dinner because I enjoy talking to JC, this SRI guy. And in one of the dinner, he says, Mehta, you are wasting your time in Cleveland. You should get out of this city. You should be on the coast, either New York or West Coast. The future for you will not be here as much as it will be there. And I have a situation that perfectly fits you. There is a startup that's not doing well. And the investors are thinking of shutting it down or get someone who understands. It was a banking startup in San Francisco. Okay. And I think you should grab that opportunity. And the founder is a genius. And I truly agree he was a genius. He is a genius. He's still alive. And you two will get along because you will operate at the same level. Okay. In terms of intellectual work. So you should quit this job and go and take the ownership in the startup. So I liked the idea. And I said, it makes sense. I won't go a lot of gyration. In the end, Andrew and I struck a deal that I will join as a co-founder. I will buy out his other founder. The investors will a Louisville-based insurance company called Capital Holding. You know, somewhere in my resume, you said about Capital Holding. The Capital Holding had given $9 million venture fund, but they were ready to shut it down. So eventually, when I met with the Capital Holding, which was headquartered in Louisville, Kentucky, and when they liked me, says, okay. And they were even, you talk about Cleveland, you go to South, and I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, which is a pure, white territory. Even there, I was able to maneuver myself very well, and they liked me very much. And they said, okay, so I joined this startup in 1986. They tried to recruit me back. Bank offered me to come back. All of that, I said, no, I'm going to go. My wife gave me total support. My kids were young enough to say that they can resettle, because once your kids are in a certain age, it's hard to uproot yourself. I said, we're going to take this risk. This was a serious risk, giving away a reserve parking, view of Lake Erie, 18th floor office, two secretaries and all that thing, and where I have to make my own booking, no secretary. We were on the 5th floor of a shoe store, a startup bank, and the salary was, of course, more than what I was making, and I negotiated that I want both my base salary equal to my salary plus my bonus, and then one bonus, and of course ownership. And the company was more attractive, so I become an owner of the company. And I was confident that I will build the company because I understand finance, banking business. So this was one of the biggest risks I took, but I said, what's the downside? If I don't take this risk now, I will not take it. And if it goes wrong, all I wanted to tell the company, you will buy back my house, because housing was very expensive in Bay Area. And I will go back to Cleveland or where elsewhere looking for a job. Being an IIT trained and being experienced, I will find a job so I will not starve. So that is where I made the first entry into my entrepreneurship career. And we were 80 people startup at the time, and we were into credit card business. And that's where I decided that the promoters, entrepreneurs, owners make more money than the salaried people. I learned from my investment into the valley. So this is how I ended up in an entrepreneur's phase of my life. And we were from 86 to 2001, we built from 80 people to 12,000 people company. We were 35 billion in asset. We never took a second round of financing. And by the 1988, my co-founder left. He says, when we reach a $1 billion asset, he said, no, we can't grow any further. So he retired. He took his part of the money. And I was also saying, I'm making enough money. In 1988, $14 million sounded pretty reasonable to me. So we'll take the money and move on, and I'll do something else. I've always had a dream to go back to India, by the way. That never stopped. Okay. As a matter of fact, in 75, we tried to come back. I quit, but emergency was there. So people asked me, go back. Right now, you don't do time. So we decided to, but my investor, the capital holding people said, no, Mr. Mehta, keep your money, we'll cash you out, but then we will give you a new valuation, same ownership and more, and you build the company. So I stayed back. And then from when Mr. Andrew Carr left in 88, I became the sole CEO and executive chairman of the company. And we built it, as I said, to $35 billion asset company. And in 1992, you talk about seen and unseen. I started saying that there is a huge market. This is where I want to bring this to you. 5 million US households are not getting access to credit because their credit scores were not bad. The credit scores in the bureaus were wrong. So there were errors on data. And I said, if we can go after that market and get 1 million customers, we can create a significant business. And I came to coin the word unbanked. And that we found these files and we created a product for them. And I said, simple objective to my executive that get me $1 million, 1 million account out of this 5 million, go for it. And make sure we make $100 profit per account every year. That's $100 million profit. That looked pretty big in those days, annually. So Uh, Seen and unseen, again, I saw opportunity in a market that nobody wanted to serve. And the reason nobody wanted to serve because they were relying on a data rather than doing their homework. Okay. And I said, no, let's look at the data. And I said, no. This woman is divorced, but that's why she has no credit history. But she has a stable job. She's making money, but all the cards were on her husband's name. But now husband and they divorced. She never took to create a card on her name. So we should give her a credit. And that is a good credit. So this is where we found that there are very profitable segment in this huge market. Actually, total number of people were 30 million. 5 million I thought were the target market. And that's where I designed the product and we launch our business. So again, building the company is one thing, but finding the market in your own value proposition and that nobody sees it. This is these seen and unseen again, and build a business that at $100 million annual profit. Actually, we did more than that, by the way. That is where the entrepreneurs and the business valuation took off.
Great, Dr. Mehta. And you were just AMs when ATMs introduced in the banks, and banks were worried. I see there is a question from Ashwin. I'm taking this opportunity to take a question from the audience. He's asking about, will AI take jobs of MBA and management professionals in the future? I believe it's a very similar situation when now AI has hit the radar, hit everywhere, and people are asking the similar questions, which possibly you would have seen during the time of ATMs when they were introduced. Of course, I'm a professor of AI and innovation. I deal with this question very differently, very academically, but it would be nice if you could share your views on this question for everyone.
Okay, I will, but I wanted to give one quick thing. So I don't know how much time you have.
We have around 15 minutes, and that's why I'm taking some questions from the audience as well.
And I just wanted to, because throughout our theme, we had turning headwinds to tailwinds. So I want to give you one quick story on that, and then I'll come back to your question.
Sure.
So I encountered a serious headwind in my business in 1988 when Andrew left. Okay. Because I was growing so fast, I'm becoming such a huge credit card threat to the established players like Citibank and Bank of America. By the way, we were among the top 5 largest credit card company in the world already becoming. So they created a political maneuver on us, and they passed a legislation which says that you cannot grow more than 7% a year if you are what is called a non-bank bank. So we were considered by charter non-bank bank because our majority owners were insurance company. Okay. So we do not came under the purview of Federal Reserve, but we came under the regulation of OCC, Office of Comptroller of Currency. So I got screwed because my asset was only $1 billion in 88. We had a thanks a billion party. They limited my growth by passing this legislation. I cannot grow more than 70 million a year. How the hell can I build a big company? Now that was the death blow to me. I thought we were done. Okay. Because 7% restriction is for, and the funny way the US works, it was called Competitive Equality Banking at SEBA, which is diametrically opposite, Killing the Competition Act. Okay. So I first called my Louisville people. I said, I need to do something, and this is effective October 1. This law was passed in August. I said, first, I want you to deposit $2 billion, because they were rich company, the capital holding, in my bank. And next day I will wire back, but my balance sheet will blow up by 2 billion. So at least I will now have a room to grow at 200 million because 7% of 3 billion. So at least I buy myself some time to figure it out how to deal with this. So this is the headwind I had. It was a death blow. Then they said, okay, we will do this for you. Then I said, how do I grow off balance sheet so that I don't have to show that as a balance sheet growth? This is the first time I use my IIT training, my calculus, and working with some great analysts to create how can we securitize credit card asset. Nobody knew how to securitize credit card. People knew mortgage-backed security. Nobody knew how to credit because credit card balance fluctuate. We engineered the first credit card securitization in the country. And that became a tailwind because now I was growing off balance sheet. So I no longer 7% cap applied to me, but I freed up my capital. So my return on equity jumped, my stock value doubled in private valuation. So I won't go in detail what we went through to create, how did we map a variable asset to a fixed bond It's a classic IIT training. I hats off to my Laplace transformation knowledge and all these other things. But the point is, it was a crisis and it was a headwind. It turned out to be that everybody started copying me and I said securitization. It became a tailwind. It gave me even a faster growth because I didn't need to raise capital because I was growing off balance sheet faster than a non-balance sheet. Okay. So I just want to share that because this is a one real example I went through. And my advice to entrepreneurs, these kind of adversities will come. Don't, even if you're how successful. When you are very successful, your competitors, your all political forces, anything can come and kill you. Now the question is, how would you maneuver and convert that headwind to tailwind? It requires your great commitment and don't get upset and tired. Okay. And leadership. At the time, everybody was shaken up in the company. And I said, no, we'll find a way. Don't worry. I have a way of dealing with it. But if you don't show the confidence, if your people don't believe in you, you start losing your own confidence. Okay. So I just wanted to share that thing as a part of this or main title of the today's talk, that you can convert a headwind into tailwind. I have been able to do it. It won't happen every time, but don't lose that confidence and do look for solutions rather than blame others. I know that I've been political victim. I can't blame it. It's the way the modern work, bigger fish eats the smaller fish works. So you have to figure out how to survive. So that's just I wanted to share with you. Coming back of AI, for my benefit, can you just repeat the question one more time, if you don't mind?
Sure. So I mean, now people are living the same times when AI has hit the market. Very similar, like ATMs. You were dealing with ATMs hitting the banks, and banks were thinking that ATMs will take a lot of jobs. Now a lot of people are thinking that AI will also take jobs. So could you please share your views on how probably AI may or may not take jobs of professionals and other management people in the near future?
See, that is my view, and it's still too early to make strong forecast on any of those things. Okay, but I do say that AI is real. I do say that AI will attack what I call menial jobs. Okay, and that is where the situation is going to be interesting. But also, it will create opportunities to develop new skills and new careers. Today people are creating apps. Similarly, you will say that I can build agents, I can build frontier AI models, or I can create a cybersecurity. How can an AI robot can be corrupted, and what are the way I can train? So it will open up a whole new area of opportunities, and it will also create a severe relearning for a lot of people who are hard-coded, like BlackBerry, instead of become a soft-coded like Apple. Okay, so you have to reinvent yourself. You have to find in this again where the opportunities are. AI is a headwind to a lot of people. Okay, how do you convert into a tailwind? But I am bullish. I think AI is real. It may take its own time. We'll have a lot of false start in AI. We have a lot of false start in internet. So it happens. Whenever there's a new technology comes, okay, it shakes up. It shakes it up. Okay. And then there are, political headwinds and other things will come into play. But all said and done, I see AI as an opportunity rather than a threat. But it requires relearning it. You have to think outside the box. Okay. You have to see and unseen. Okay. What people are seeing in AI is everybody's seeing. What people are not seeing in AI is what you have to start thinking.
Great. Rishi. We still have like 6 minutes, so we can take 2 questions.
Right. So we'll go to the next question that we had planned. So building a successful company requires a lot more than just an idea. And you talked about various different things, seeing the unseen by others, etc. Can you talk about some of more examples of or decisions, defining decisions that help you transform that initial vision into a multi-million-dollar enterprise?
This is a very good question. And, a lot of it depends on which industry and which sector you are. Okay. And what I would say that I found, and again, I'm not sure whether I'm answering your question or not, but hopefully I am, that there are operational sites or execution sites where to me the discipline is very critical. And then there is a customer facing side where I think empowerment of your customer facing employee or person is very important. So it's a funny thing where I empower and where I don't empower. Okay. And if you execute in building a business, in operations, I don't tolerate anybody deviating from procedure. मुझे जुगाड़ नहीं चाहिए. Sorry, I said it in Hindi. Just do it what exactly the manual says. Do what exactly the process says. There is no room for, we had a situation where, you have to, what is your total credit card balance? It should be less than 7,500 on all the cards. If it is more than that, we reject your application. We had one employee who consistently eyeballed it. Rather than we had a rule that an application write down what the total balance is, we had a calculator with a printing. And he was eyeballing it. And he was right. He never made a wrong credit decision. His productivity is better, but he did not follow the procedure. Okay. We reprimanded him twice and then we said, you can go. We don't care about your productivity. This is operation. This is execution. This is where I've seen the Orientals are very good, the Chinese and the Japanese. They are like robots. They do exactly what they're asked to do. They don't try to add value because we are not paying you for that. Because it is a discipline that creates the operational excellence. On the other hand, you have a customer-facing employee. That person, your company's representative, knows what the situation is. Is the customer trustworthy? Is the customer fraud? Give that person some flexibility to make decision on behalf of the company to maintain the reputation of the company. And don't make him so much book-oriented that you cannot say customer that I cannot even change the seat with the next person because that's what my boss says. In an airline, we have seen sometimes that little air hostess has to make, or air steward, make a decision. She is right on the scene. Okay. Or I'm just giving you an example. So the way to build this situation is how do you get excellence in operation is one thing. In manufacturing, it's an excellence comes from execution without jugaad. Whereas in customer-facing situation, you need to train people to be having an empathy for your customer rather than protecting my corporate reputation. Your reputation hurts if you don't treat him right. So you're not really protecting the reputation by saying this is our policies. Okay. You understand that this customer is in distress. Yes, 5% people will game the system, let them game it, but don't have 95%, even 98% of your customers are honest and they have no idea of gaming your system. So give that empowerment. So it's a kind of a leadership comes from that point of view, that the person feels I'm representing the company and company has a trust and faith in me. Okay. And that creates an alignment in mission. And that creates a much better success story and a leadership and people believe in you that my boss is, or my top management is not going to reprimand even if I made a mistake in giving this customer a credit I should not have given. Don't punish people for that. Just tell them that what we learned from this and how do we avoid that in future. But start with the assumption customer is right rather than my company policy is right. Just a thought I wanted to share with you.
Great, Dr. Mehta. And just one final question, given that we are just almost ending the time. So, what is the role of luck in your belief? Of course, discipline and your execution that's there, but people have been asking this question about luck. And one more final question, which Mansi is asking. In fact, I also wanted to ask this question: is there any kind of daily practice that helps you? Process things around, sustain that inner calm, because even at this age, you are pretty energetic, full of that energy, which I find missing in people who are in their 30s or 40s. So is there any daily practice that you follow or some sort of mantra that you would like to share with the people who are in this talk?
Okay. So I think luck is there always. Let's not be undermined that, but it is in an interesting way the people define luck. What is luck? I think everyone in their life comes across a opportunity or a situation, and those who see it and capitalize are lucky. Okay. And those who miss it are unlucky. Sometimes being at right place at the right time doesn't happen to everybody. Okay. But when it happens, if you grab it, okay, then you are going to be successful. And so that part of luck, I believe in it. Okay. A simple example I gave you, my son graduated from Stanford Business School. And his class of 1996 or whatever, kind of 2000, where some of the most successful today's Valley people are. But the last two guys in his class of MBA, Stanford MBA, did not get any job offer from venture firms or top tech firms or McKinsey's of the world. So they ended up on a startup because that's the only company were willing to offer a job. Now, here is a question of luck and opportunity. These two people said, we have no other jobs, we'll take this job, startup company. And they were one of the early 20 or 30 employees of that company. Guess what? Today, those two are the richest among the class because that company happened to be Google. Okay, it was Google, and Google was hiring at the time, and Google's valuation was nothing. So here is a luck versus opportunity. So I'm just giving you that that was a bad luck, right? They didn't get any job offer from VCs, they didn't get anything, but they were the last two left, and the only job offer available. So there is this subtlety, what I'm trying to say on the luck. And my point was it was a luck that Mr. JC Green came and talked to me that there is a startup and you should grab it. Now, I could have easily said, no, 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 I'm cushy. I have a job. I don't want to take a risk. I'm not buying it. I don't know anybody in Sam. So I was lucky to have that opportunity presented, but I was smart enough to grab it. Many people don't grab it. So that's where I think you will be lucky. You will be presented something, but you need to grab it. And that is where the luck versus your ability to do it. That I hope this is my own belief. Okay.
No,
Okay.
perfect.
Now, the second part of your question was, what do I say it again? I'm sorry.
Your daily practice, something that you follow to be this active even at this age,
Yeah, I'm passionate about things. I like to learn. Today, as the case asked, I'm very much interested in understanding AI. I'm very much interested in the new themes of future, whether space infrastructure is real or a dream, whether new generation of medicine is new dream. So I like to learn. So I never quit learning, and that's part of my passion. It's a passion. If I still get every week at least one person or two people referring me a deal, or they want to show up and said, "Can we meet and spend some time with you?" Now, I'm very choosy about my time, but if I have to learn something, then I say, "Okay, come over." Even if I'm not going to invest, I want to learn what you're doing and how you're building this thing. In addition, I'm passionate about how to live long healthily. I'm not scared of dying, but I'm scared of dying with painful years. So I'm very disciplined on my exercise, very disciplined on what I eat. We do not eat any processed food. We eat only organic foods. And we are very careful about my grandchildren. Everyone is in our house. You cannot find a Coke or even any kind of carbonated drinks, and nothing opens from the bag. And of course, as our age, the metabolism changes. So accordingly, we change our dietary habit. So I'm passionate about my exercise, passionate about my yoga, so my time goes very fast between this and managing our family office, and I still advise some funds on thematic investment like power in AI and others, and continue to learn from people who want to interact both here and in India. So my time flies. I am always short of time, at least as of now. It could change. So this is how
Yeah,
it is. But
perfect.
passionate about how to live young longer. That's my number one thing now.
Okay, great. So thanks a lot, Dr. Mehta. In fact, even in this busy schedule, when you have so much of things to do on your plate, you managed to take out time for all of us here for IIT Bombay and larger pan IIT and IIM community in India and around the world. And this somehow turns out to be not only a masterclass in entrepreneurship, but also on health, which is pretty interesting because a lot of people will not be talking about these things, about health, about daily life and practice, and largely turning, some opportunity into something larger in execution and something larger in life, basically. So, and I guess people are waiting for your book as well, as I can see in the chat. Hope you are writing one. If you are not writing one, maybe you can get started, or you can always let me know, and we can get started for some point. And I guess because there are a lot of stories that you couldn't share now, or maybe you have not shared on any portal. For example, I remember you mentioned about your meeting with Elon. You are on the board of PayPal, so possibly there are a lot of larger stories that people would love to hear from you and from your journey. But anyways, thanks a lot for your time, for sharing those lovely stories, and in this 1 hour, sharing your journey in this 1 hour. And I guess a lot of people will reach out for your mentorship. Would love to get in touch with you to learn a lot more from you. With that, Thanks a lot. I guess if you have any final statement, Dr. Mehta, you can let us know. Or otherwise, we'll call it a day. We are just 5 minutes behind the schedule. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Since we're behind schedule, I have no final statement. Everyone have a wonderful week and enjoy
people
your
asking, the people are asking if there isn't a way they can reach out to you.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Is there a way people can reach out to you?
I think best way will be my email, I would suggest.
Okay. So I can share your email if someone
I
asks.
have my India phone number because people in India love WhatsApp more than email.
Okay.
So you need the WhatsApp message. But if we have to have patience, whether I generally respond to everyone who reaches out to me, but sometimes it may take a little time because of the overwhelming. Outside to this conversation, I get queries and email. But yeah, I will be open to respond to the questions or queries. So
All right.
can you share my email address and
I
also
will do that.
and my telephone number?
All right. I'll do that.
Both are preferable, WhatsApp or email, because I know that
Yeah.
people in India prefer WhatsApp.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.